From the capital city of Columbia, South Carolina, on the east coast of these United States, the truth is back on the airwaves. You asked for it, you missed it, and now it returns. Broadcasting to the awakened, the curious, the seekers of truth. This is not your average radio show. This is where the mainstream ends and the unexplained begins.
Good evening or morning, depending on your location, and welcome to another powerful edition of Late Night in the Midlands. I'm your host, Mike Vara, and, we're coming at you live from the capital city, Columbia, South Carolina, right here on the east coast of these United States. And, the website is www.mikevara.com. Go on over, become a late nighter. Be informed, and by all means, inform others. Oh, so important. And as always, we're broadcasting to the truth seekers, the late night thinkers, and those who dare to question the official story. And tonight, we're going to take a deep dive into the extraordinary with none other than Preston Dennett, a veteran UFO and paranormal investigator, author of over 30 books, and a true force in uncovering what's been hidden in plain sight, from everything from alien abductions to ghost encounters, from out-of-body experiences to government secrets. Preston's research spans the entire spectrum of the unexplained. So grab your coffee on this Friday night, silence your distractions, and get ready, because the truth isn't just out there. It's right here tonight on Late Night in the Midlands. But first, some news and discovery, because, I've always got plenty of that. It is Friday night. CC, always thinking of you on a Friday night, my friend. He's out there somewhere, probably in the chat, maybe, I don't know. Or thunderstorms are going through his area and he's shut down. You just never know with CC. But, archaeologists uncover evidence of high-tech machines, they say, used by ancient Egyptians to build the pyramids thousands of years ahead of their time. It claims here that new research has recently shaken up the long-held ideas about how the ancient Egyptians were able to build the Great Pyramids. While the traditional belief suggests the massive stone blocks were hauled up massive ramps by thousands of workers, I think not. A groundbreaking theory now suggests that the Egyptians may have used a hydraulic lift system instead. Okay, and they could have also used a anti-gravity device by extraterrestrials. Just saying. But this is their story. So, anyways, an advanced technology, they say, that could have enabled the construction of the pyramids with incredible precision. Oh, yeah? Then why can't we do it today? We got cranes and all that stuff. We can't do it. Oh, their cranes were better than our cranes. Why would that be, I wonder? I don't know. They're using the same material, aren't they? Or are they? The James Webb Telescope detects possible life signal on K2-18b. NASA's James Webb Space Telescope has made a groundbreaking discovery. It's always breaking news or groundbreaking discoveries. Potential signs of life on K2-18b, which is an exoplanet orbiting a distant red dwarf, and its detection as possible biosignatures marks a pivotal moment, they say, in the search for extraterrestrial habitability. But, they don't know for sure. They sure talk like they do, which they probably do, actually. So Trump goes, kind of nuclear, right? He announces a plan to release the real Epstein list that implicates top Democrats and corporate leaders in response to their attempt to falsely link him to the pedophile. Yeah, he's not happy about that. The fake news trying to connect him to the pedophile ring. So now that's all it took. Now he's definitely going to release it, which is good. And we know what politicians are touchy-feely. Bill, I bet Bill's sweating bullets now. A lot of famous ones have passed. We lost Ozzy Osbourne. We just lost Hulk Hogan, which, Hulk was my favorite wrestler growing up. I used to, I was a big Hulkamaniac, I guess you could say. I even, when I was a kid, I had the whole Hulk Hogan workout set down in the basement. And, my brother would go down to work out. I'd be right next to him working out with my Hulk Hogan weights. But, I've got a picture right over there, which I should have brought it over here. I could have showed you at the Rochester War Memorial when Hogan was taking on the Iron Sheik. And I met them both down at the gym that day. I was there. I went, because I know they go there. So I got autographs and pictures. And, when the match started and Hogan was walking around the ring, ripping his shirt off there, I went and climbed over the bars and leaned right down on the ring and took a nice picture. I got a picture over there of Hogan with the belt on, and then the Iron Sheik standing there waiting for a beating. R.I.P. Hulk Hogan. Boy, there's a lot of good people over on the other side now. I'll tell you, the older I get, the more comfortable I feel about going wherever it is we're going, because, just think of all the people who are going to be there. All right? And if not, is it really going to matter? What are you going to know? So, which I hope it's not a what are you going to know? I hope, I'd like to get over there and see, Jim Morrison and, all these others. Anyways, newly, that is, released records have revealed never-before-seen footage of unidentified objects invading an Ohio military base connected to one of the most infamous UFO encounters in history. Now, thanks to a Freedom of Information Act request, the U.S. military has just been compelled to release documents and video of two incidents over Wright-Patterson Air Force Base in December of 2024. That's pretty recent. According to Air Force personnel and other witnesses in the area, the UFO may have been part of the same drone swarms that both captivated and terrified the nation late last year. Well, I don't know. Drones, UFOs, what are they? The asteroid known as 2024 YR4 is out of sight, yet still very much on scientists' minds. Now, the building-sized object, which initially appeared to be on a potential collision course with Earth, is currently zooming beyond the reach of telescopes on its orbit around the sun. But as scientists wait for it to reappear, its revised trajectory is now drawing attention to another possible target, and that is the moon. Boy, I can't talk tonight. While Earth wouldn't face any significant physical danger should the asteroid strike the moon, there is a chance that astronauts or infrastructure or anything, satellites orbiting the planet or what have you, could face some demise, if you will. All right, so we got guest Preston Dennett coming on with me next. Before he does, I'm going to take a quick break here, and we'll come back. And I don't know how much more I need to tell you about Preston. I think I know he's very well known, and he's been doing this work for a long time. And I love talking with him. And so that's what we'll do on the other side of this break on this Friday night. This is Late Night in the Midlands, and we're coming at you live from the VARA Radio Network. And, folks, I should tell you, we are video-wise. You can find us over on X, Facebook, and Rumble. And if you want a quick way there, you just go to the video archive page over on MikeVara.com. Easy peasy. Now, the audio, if you want to just listen, which that's kind of my thing, is, we're on the mothership of all we do. That is the VARA Radio Network, MikeVara.com. Go on over. You can listen there. You can also listen on TalkStream Live, the Paranormal Radio app, the Alternative Media app, which is all provided by TalkStream Live. We're on TuneIn. Later we'll be on Spotify and all these other ones. And again, I got to get a list together and just do it one night. But right now, let me head off into this break, and I will meet you back here in just a couple minutes. This is Late Night in the Midlands, and I am Mike Vara, and this is Put It Down Like a Fish. Not no more. Nor do I want to. It takes so much damn longer to heal and to recover, rather. And I don't enjoy waking up hungover and headaches and all that. So, I just as soon take a little puffy puff. Ain't no hangovers with that. The worst thing that happens, you catch up on your sleep,
No worries.
I guess, first of all, I always like to start there, and that is, your interest in the whole UFO phenomena. You started how long ago? Like, you've got 30 books out there now, right?
Yeah, it's been almost 40 years, 39
Wow.
years. In just a few months, it'll be 39 years. Hard to believe. Yeah, most of my life at this point.
Yeah, I mean, I'm on 18 years with the show, so, and I've watched myself go from a young, in-shape man to an older, out-of-shape man, right here on the airwaves. But I haven't got that long. I don't know if I'll make it that far, but I'll sure try. Yeah. So, out of all the years you've been doing this, what would be the biggest things that you discovered? I mean, going into it, were you going into it trying to prove that UFOs existed, at least to yourself, or were you more of a person who said they don't exist and I'm going to prove it, or how'd you go into this?
Yeah, kind of kicking and screaming, really. Honestly, I was not looking for it. I didn't like the subject. I thought UFOs were being reported by kooks, liars, idiots, drug users. Oh, sorry, everyone.
Yeah.
I was definitely wrong. But yeah, that's kind of how I felt. I thought I was pretty scientifically minded. And knowing how far away the stars are, I thought, I just can't see ETs from another star system being able to get here.
Yeah.
which is, of course, purely speculative. But, yeah, very skeptical. It was 1986. I'm 21 years old, pretty young.
Yeah.
I think that worked in my favor. But my older brother, Mark, said he'd seen a UFO when I was like 13 years old, maybe 14, around there. And I just kind of laughed at him. I think pretty much everyone in the family did. There's 6 kids in our family. So he was obviously not happy about it and kind of just shut up. But then, 1986, November 17 rolls around, and there's this amazing sighting, and I'm sure you've heard of it, Mike. The JAL Airlines Captain Kenji Torochi over Alaska, Japanese commercial airliner, was basically followed by 2 giant UFOs. Now, they just kind of joked about it on the news and moved on. I mean, they literally spent maybe 2 minutes, 3, but they did show the picture of the pilot, and I thought, wow, look at this. This pilot is crazy. Why would he report a UFO? What would possibly motivate him to, put his career on the line? Mm-hmm. I remember thinking he's going to get fired for this.
Yeah, and not too long ago you would have.
Yeah, well, he did get, basically grounded for quite some time.
Yeah.
But he did get his job back. But that's what kind of started it for me, and I went to my brother Mark, and he described this amazing sighting. He had 2 friends with him. They all basically chased this UFO down Reseda Boulevard. Now, if you know L.A., you probably know Reseda Boulevard. It's a pretty big, famous street, very densely populated, lots of businesses on it. But they chased it halfway down this street. It would stop for them, in fact, kind of wait for them, let them catch up, and then it would dart ahead again. They passed other cars who were seeing it, and eventually it just darted off like 10 miles away, tiny little dot of light, and it was gone.
Yeah.
So he told me this, and I'm like, man, okay. I couldn't disbelieve him because I know him pretty well. He's my brother. He's not going to lie to me.
For the record, I too have an older brother named Mark.
There you go.
Yeah. So yeah, he's not going to lie to you, right? I mean, he'd have no reason to.
Right. So I ended up talking to his 2 friends who verified his experience. Then I, bit by bit, I started thinking about this. I'm like, I wonder if I know anyone else who's seen a UFO. And I was very, casually, quietly kind of sneaking the question in. And everyone's kind of looking at me like, what's wrong with you? They're not real. It's just, I'm like, yeah, I know, but but then I talked to a family friend, Sylvia Walters, and we all love her. She's a great person. We've known her for years and years, and she's actually a flight instructor, a scuba diver. She's got a good head on her shoulders. I'm like, have you ever seen a UFO by chance? She's like, as a matter of fact, I have. I'm like, really? And she said that, once she was up in her house in Topanga Canyon. This is where I grew up, where I was living at that time. And she heard this buzzing sound, really kind of unusual, coming from outside. She was with her friend, and they ran outside. And lo and behold, here's this kind of floating egg-shaped object, not that high up, maybe 200 feet, glowing white, moving very slowly in this kind of wavering pattern, like riding on the waves almost. And just moved across the sky, and off it went.
Yeah.
So
well,
it just started to add up. I found a lot of people, Mike, who I knew who had seen UFOs. It was an incredible shock. So, yeah, that's how it started, and I wanted to disprove them, even though at that point I already knew that this had to be something to this. But that's when I started buying books.
Yeah,
about every book I could find.
I gotta admit, when I came into it, I was a believer already. I mean, as a little kid, I just look up and I'm like, we can't be alone. There's got to be, extraterrestrials up there, and I remember reading stories in, I think it was Time magazine or something, that we'd get it in the mail, and it'd be the science edition, and it always had stories of abductions and things, and boy, I got into that stuff, and so I came into a believer, and my goal was to prove, just to myself, if nothing else, that they're real. And what I can say for sure right now is that those crafts people claim to see in the sky, they are real, 100%. Now,
Oh, yeah.
who's driving them, I don't know, but like you, I've had, I don't know, many hundreds of people, if not, I want to say thousands, who have told me stories about, their encounters with extraterrestrials. And I got to think, okay, if they say there's 1,000 of them, and just one of those stories is true, I mean, that's all we need. And I've heard a couple that I really strongly believe. So.
Oh, yeah. I lost my mind. I really did. I started asking everyone I knew, and I'm like, okay, there's something to this. I mean, the people I worked with, the one whole family, they all had a sighting. They were all there. The daughter was having onboard experiences, face-to-face encounters with grays. Another lady, she was followed home from the library. She's like, Preston, it only takes 5 minutes to drive home. We left at 9. I know exactly when we left. We got home at 10:15. I don't know how that happened. I'm like, Dorothy, that's missing time. She's like, what? I'm like, yeah, you were probably taken on board. So, yeah, I joined MUFON within the year, the Mutual UFO Network, and became a field investigator.
Yeah.
Which definitely opened doors for me.
So, in an investigation, it's interesting, the whole MUFON thing, in an investigation, how do you actually go about, I mean, obviously you interview the witnesses or what have you, but I mean, it's got to be really, it's like, doesn't every case eventually come to just a wall, right? I mean, because the craft took off, and, I mean, what outside, I mean, sure, you test the grounds probably and stuff like that, right? But I mean, outside of that, I mean, how successful are they?
well, you're darn lucky if you've got a case where the UFO lands, because most of what people see is lights in the sky.
Yeah.
And how it usually went down is a case, someone would call MUFON, and whoever was handling the calls would farm them out to the various state section directors, and then the state section director would give it to the local MUFON group, and then it would go from there to a field investigator. So there was sort of a chain of command. And when I joined, we were meeting in the back room of a bank, and there was maybe 10 people at the monthly meetings, 20 on a good night. And it was like that for a couple of years. The subject was not nearly as popular as it is today.
Oh, I know.
I do remember an early case I got was from a man named Brian Forrest, I think was his name, who worked at LAX Airport, Los Angeles International, as a maintenance guy, I think, on the park grounds in that area, and saw this blackish object. Said it was weird because it wasn't reflecting light at all like an object normally would.
Yeah.
And it was there in full view of where everyone should be seeing it, but no one was reacting. But yeah, he filled out the whole, there's a 20-page questionnaire. Like, how high was it? Did you feel your hair stand up on end? How did it move? Was there any sound?
Well,
he drew it.
Preston, that's what me and my my friend Autumn, what we seen. There was a craft, I mean, and it was bright, right? But it didn't reflect the light. I mean, like if you were on the ground and you didn't look up, you wouldn't have known it was there. I mean, it was quiet, and the light was with it's like sustained within itself. I never saw anything like that. It was amazing.
Yeah, it's absolutely interesting when you start to see these patterns that, are there in case after case after case.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
And that's definitely one of them where the lights on them are a little bit different.
Yeah, and it's easy to mistake them. I mean, you could be looking from a distance and you see something, and it's like, oh my God, and then it gets close and it's just a plane. But then there's these other things, and of course I've looked up at the sky many nights with night vision goggles, and I'll tell you what, there's a lot of stuff moving around up there. A lot of stuff.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I had an opportunity. I'd love to get myself a nice high-grade pair of those night vision goggles.
Well, there's a guy on eBay. He works for the military, and he built them for the military, and that's what he does now. He builds them. It's like a couple $1,000. I mean, but they're great. They work excellent.
Yeah, I had the opportunity to use one at a UFO conference.
Yeah.
And he's like, go ahead, take a look. Tell me what you see. And there was, I'm pretty good with astronomy, and I was looking at some stuff up there, and I'm like, don't know what that is. These were so distant that I couldn't really, here's the thing. Weirdly, when I found out UFOs were real, it made me question everything. And I kind of, in a weird way, became more skeptical of things because I had to reevaluate. I'd been lied to. But I was definitely seeing stuff up there that were what I would call anomalous lights, but it was ambiguous enough where I'm like, I don't know what to call that. I can't label that as anything.
Yeah, see, and I've had those, but then I've had the kind that there's no mistake of what you're looking at is, I've never seen it before, but I've never seen it before. And the things that they do, I've watched them go from one point in the sky to the other in a blink of an eye and back. And this big craft, yeah.
That's not a shooting star when it flies all the way across the sky and then comes back.
Yeah, right. Yeah, and it's certainly not a boomerang. And they play with you. It seems like there's been a couple times when I've seen one. I've been blessed. I've had some sight. Now the last one was some years ago now. I think 2013 maybe or 15. One of them. Anyways, they'll play with you up there. Like this one craft, was a disc, and it would hide behind the cloud, come out again, sit there, wobble around. Then it would take off across the sky, come back again, and then finally it was gone. It went straight up, and that was the end of it. But it's almost like they know you see it, and they want you to see it. But
100%.
Yeah.
My little sister, she had a sighting. She was lying in bed. She had just had her daughter, I think, or son. She's got 4 kids. I forget which one it is. But at any rate, the child was a week old maybe, and her baby daddy was in bed with her, and she sees this light come across the sky and stop right in front of her, the crack in the curtains. Like, what's the possibility of that? She's got a tiny little view outside, and here's this light just kind of right there.
Yeah.
She tried to wake up, her boyfriend. He would not wake up, no matter how hard she shook him. She went outside. It was weird. All the houses which normally have their lights on were off. And she stepped outside and looked at this thing, and I think she said it had a red light and a blue light. It moved horizontal, and then vertical, and then horizontal. She went back inside, and again, it went and stopped right in front of the tiny little crack in the curtain. So, yeah, I do think it was essentially showing itself to her on purpose.
Yeah, and I've had guests who say, well, if you've had multiple sightings, you've probably been abducted. And it's like, I don't know. I mean, how would you find out about something like that? A regression, right? But, I mean, how much do you trust those?
Done correctly, I think it's a very effective method. Done incorrectly, it's absolutely dangerous. There's been a lot of studies on this of people who've had false memory syndrome. It's a problem. But it's absolutely, I trust it because done by an experienced therapist, the things that people recall under hypnotic regression match precisely what people consciously recall. That can't possibly be a coincidence. So yeah, I generally only recommend it as a last resort. But as an early researcher, cases like that slipped by me. There was one guy I was interviewing, Mark Grant, a tow truck driver, was with a friend, Robin, and they were on Mulholland Drive overlooking the San Fernando Valley and had these three lights come and hover maybe 1,000 feet away. The distinct sense that whoever was behind these lights was watching them. That should have been my first clue. And they started to get really nervous about it. And finally, suddenly, this object seemed to zoom towards them and then zoom away at the same time. I'm like, what do you mean? He's like, I don't know. It's like almost changed positions, and it was one place, and then a second later, it was somewhere else. That's a red flag. Now I know to recognize that as a possible episode of missing time, especially what they described next, which was they had a very strong emotional reaction and drove off in an absolute panic.
You know, in any of my sightings that I've had, I never thought of looking at the clock or any of that stuff. Like I couldn't tell you if there was missing time or not. I want to say I don't think so, but never did I look at the clock. I mean, I wouldn't even go in to get a camera because I was afraid that if I did, I'd come back out, it'd be gone. It's like, you know, how many opportunities am I going to get, you know? So, and it's more important that I prove it to myself than anyone else. So, I mean, I could sit here and say, I know for a fact it's true. And skeptics could say, well, I don't believe you. Well, I don't care if you believe me or not. I know.
What you said about repeated sightings, I absolutely concur. Because the UFO researchers used to think if someone's constantly reporting UFOs, they're not reliable, and that they must be, you know, lying, basically.
Yeah.
But contactees generally have numerous sightings. And I've come to realize that if you have 3 sightings or more, very likely you're a contactee. And even more telling, I think, is if one of these things comes somewhat close to you. And by that I mean if you see something that's, you know, maybe 300 feet away, that's another huge red flag. But missing time can be absolutely seamless. And if you're not keeping close track of time, you might not know, because sometimes it'll be just 15 minutes, 20 minutes.
Yeah. So, you know, I had one case which I thought I just fell asleep in the car, which I probably did. But you know, it was a weird night too. I was listening to Coast that night. This was back in like 1997. And I was outside drinking a beer, and I'm looking down at the ground, and all of a sudden everything lit up around me. And I just about crapped myself because I'm thinking I'm going to look up and there's going to be a craft sitting there hovering. That's what I thought. But it was like some kind of meteor or something that was flying through the sky. Well, later that night, you know, I went and I had to take a ride into the city. And I don't know, about a mile and a half, the last mile and a half of that ride, I couldn't tell you about it. I didn't remember any of it. I woke up. Like when I came to and just figured, you know, there I was just driving down a side street. I had crossed a 4-lane highway. I don't know how I got across it, but I did.
Wow.
Yeah. I think I fell asleep. No, I wasn't drunk. I drank I drank one beer, and then it was 4 hours later when I finally took that ride. But so yeah, I don't know if that happens. But I didn't see no UFO that night, just a meteorite. So.
Yeah, I think I've had at least 2 episodes of missing time. First, I didn't recognize for decades, and the second one actually was erased from my memory somehow. I think I'm probably responsible for that, but yeah. I'll never forget it now. I was, you know, late. It was July 1992. Around midnight, it got late. I was at my brother's house in Woodland Hills, and decided to drive home to my condo in Canoga Park, which was 5 miles away, thereabout, and had just left his house and was coming down this tiny side street when I saw what I first thought was a bird swooping towards my car, which makes no sense at midnight.
Yeah.
And this thing is glowing, so I'm like, oh, this must be a firecracker, because this is, the L.A. area, and firecrackers, everyone setting them off weeks after 4th of July. But no, it wasn't, because this thing was a little orb which swooped down and hovered right in front of my windshield and went back and forth 2 or 3 times, stopped right in front of my face twice, so clearly intelligently controlled and not a reflection, and then darts up into the sky, and that's all I remember. I should have driven back to my brother's house. I should have remembered it, driving home and being like, wow, I just saw it. I didn't remember it at all. I just completely forgot about it until, 3 months later. I don't even know exactly where I was, but I remember it just suddenly popped into my head.
Wow,
like,
yeah.
Man.
I had a friend like that. We had seen a craft together in Rochester, New York, and the next day he didn't remember it. We were excited about it. We were talking about it the whole way. He had a 45-minute drive. He had to drive me home. And, talking about it. The next day I woke up. I couldn't wait to talk about it again. So I called him and I said, wasn't that amazing what we saw? Blah, blah, blah. I'm afraid I don't know what you're talking about. I'm like, what? I wanted to just bang my head on the wall. I'm like, what are you talking about? You don't know what we're talking about, man? Come on. I thought he just was like, he was a choir teacher for a prominent school and all this. So maybe he didn't want people to know. I don't know. But,
Yeah, that happens. I remember there was a case I investigated with 3 kids. Well, I interviewed one of them as an adult. But they were 14 years old, playing on their skateboards in New Kensington, Pennsylvania. It's late 60s, I think. And this UFO comes down, and all 3 are looking at it, going, oh, my God, look. And there's a window, and they can see humanoids, and one's waving at them. Next thing they know, it's, they come home at 8 o'clock because they had a curfew. And next thing they know, it's 10 o'clock. And so they all run home, and they all got in trouble because, they didn't pay the curfew. And he actually remembered over the next few weeks being taken on board. But he goes back to his friend's house and asks him about it. And he said, can you believe we saw that UFO? Because they were grounded. They weren't allowed to come out. His mom was more lenient. And they're like, what are you talking about? The UFO that we saw last night. We didn't see anything. You were there. Nope. Neither of them remembered it.
Wow.
Crazy to me.
Yeah. Well, then that was crazy to me with this friend of mine. I couldn't believe it. And it sucked because I wanted to talk about it. We saw it together. Autumn and I, we saw this big craft together. And I'm glad she came out and seen it, because she told me if I hadn't come out and seen that with my own eyes, I would not have believed you. I was like, I would not make something like that up. That's no fun. I don't want to make it up. It's got to be just like winning. Cheating is just something I couldn't do in a game, whatever it is. It's just, I'm not proud of the win if I had to cheat to get it. So,
Yeah.
yeah. So, and I've had several. Now, some have just been lights in the sky, and others have been, I saw a disc craft. Autumn and I also saw a triangle together. It was a black triangle. Yeah, it was amazing. I think it was just hovering there, and then it would disappear, and just the lights would show. And that's all you saw. You could see the whole sky through it, whatever. And then it would just come back into appearance. It took off and disappeared. We followed it for a little while. I've seen, one time was at a campground, Lake Murray here in Lexington, South Carolina, and I was looking up. She's my girlfriend. So I'll be back in a minute. So I'm standing in the road, just looking up at the night sky, nice and dark, and I see a whole section of what I thought were stars start moving through the sky up there. And I'm trying to tell people, and I got people telling me, shh, be quiet. And, okay, well, fine, then I'll be quiet. And so I watched it, and, then it just dimmed. And I don't know what that was. But maybe it was the Starship Enterprise. I don't know.
I think this is far more common than even people within the UFO community realize, because most people don't talk about it. They really don't. And It's amazing to me there are still skeptics, because if they knew how many cases there were, they just wouldn't have a leg to stand on.
I will tell you this, though, but yeah, you're right. You used to not be able to talk so much about it, but now if you get the conversation started, I notice people quickly start telling their stories.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, it's definitely a lot more accepted than it was back when I started. People would tell me, like, please don't use my name. I haven't even told my spouse. Nobody in my family knows about this. I have no history of mental illness. I don't do drugs. Got a good job. Yeah. Always, especially if it's a major encounter with a being or being taken on board, they're very wary about talking about it.
Yeah, I had a boss, I still do, and he, where I work, and him and I used to bump heads. Then he found out what I did, and he listened one night, apparently. And next thing you know, he's standing next to me telling me his ghost stories and his, UFO stuff. And it's like, now it's like he tells everyone, oh, Mike's got a show, you got to listen to it. It's pretty cool, and so I got everybody at work telling me their stories. I tried to keep it down on a low profile at work. I didn't make,
yeah, that doesn't work.
No, it didn't work at all. So now I'm like the UFO guy at work. One guy, I actually bring him books. He reads the books and he gives them back, and I give him new books. So hey, I'm trying to do my best to get the word out.
Yeah, it's funny. I worked with quite a few people, and I got a lot of cases from the people I worked with. And I've had a number of bosses over the years, of course, but my first boss, Jim was his name. I got an opportunity to go on a TV show called Encounters, and they wanted to film me at work. So I asked him about it, and he's like, sure, let me talk to them first. And he talked to them, and he comes in to my desk and says, okay, I let them come in, but they're going to pay you $200, I forget what it was, a couple $100. He says, I'm not going to let them film you unless they pay you money. I'm like, oh, okay. He was very supportive. And it's funny, I had another boss who was younger than me, actually, a real young guy, David, and he was really into it. And it's like, you got to take me out to see a UFO. You're going out there and seeing them. I'm like, well, yeah, sometimes. He says, well, next time you go, take me out. And just happened to have an opportunity with the Learning Channel. They wanted to do a segment where we go out and try to call down UFOs, a la, CE5. This was in Topanga Canyon, which does have quite a bit of activity. So I picked a spot in a fairly remote area, which wasn't easy. But I invited him along with a contactee and the whole film crew, and we got up there, and we're just sitting around, and the film crew is changing the film out of the camera. Because this was pretty much a shoestring affair. They had a host, a cameraman, a light person, and a sound person. So he's changing the film, or the batteries, rather, in the camera, and everyone starts screaming because this light rises up from behind the hill, flashes, and then dives down. I didn't see it. I was facing the other direction. But my boss did see it, and he said it was thrilling. He was absolutely thrilled he got to see one. But that was cool, because
it's life-changing.
That worked.
It's life-changing. To know deep down that these things are real is one thing, but to actually see with your own eyes, it just opens up so many doors.
Yep, difference between night and day.
Yeah.
You know, I was reading about it and like, this is so cool. Reading about the Travis Walton case and Betty and Barney Hill, and then I'm talking to people that I know well who are describing very similar things.
Yeah.
But until I started having, you know, my own sightings, and that changed everything.
Oh,
Then
yeah.
beyond belief, it's knowledge. You know. No one can tell you differently. You know.
Yeah. Oh, exactly. That's why I don't argue with people about it. I don't debate about it. It's just, I know what I've seen, and I believe what I've seen. And they say, well, it wasn't the government. I don't know. Well, I'll tell you what. You show me where they're parking these things, and I'm in. But, all I know is this thing took off in the blinking of an eye. I mean, it was so freaking fast. It was just gone. It turned into like a point of light, like a needle pin. And just, that was it. So,
yeah.
I don't know.
There's two camps, people who've seen them and people who haven't.
Yeah, that's right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
There was a lady at work, the boss's daughter, actually. She approached me one day, and she's like, I saw one. I'm like, really? What did you see? She's like, she was driving along. This is in the San Fernando Valley, where I worked, a very crowded area. And she pulled over her car because there was this thing hovering over a mall, and it was not a helicopter. It was just hovering there. It had lights all over it. So she's staring at it, and she gets out of her car and is looking at this thing. She's like, I can't believe what I'm seeing. So she ran over. She did what everyone should do when you're seeing a UFO: find another witness.
Yeah.
She ran over these two guys who were standing in the parking lot and pointed at this thing, and she said, look, what's that? They were visibly shaken. They're like, oh, my God. It was right above their heads, and they didn't even notice it.
When Autumn and I saw the triangle, the black triangle up there, there was a lady coming out of the little corner store. I told her to pull over so we can get out and look. And I'm telling the lady, I go, look at that. Isn't that amazing? And she just looks up and she goes, yeah, and gets in the car and just leaves. Didn't give two damns about. I don't. Maybe she looked up and didn't see anything. I don't know.
Yeah, that's a weird effect that happens. I interviewed this lady who was at a restaurant in an open courtyard, and this massive UFO display happens, and everyone's going, ooh, ah, oh my God. And it lasted for like 5 or 10 minutes, just basically anomalous lights. But they were darting around and doing all kinds of things. Darts off, everyone just, it was like it didn't happen. They just kept eating and talking like normal, and no one's doing. She's like, isn't anyone going to call the police or something? This was a big deal. Nope. It's like it never happened.
Wow. Yeah. Well,
got a lot of cases like that, actually.
Well, yeah, and I think that, I think they could pick and choose who sees them and who don't.
Yeah, for sure.
In some cases, anyways. All right, well, Preston, I want to take a break really quick here. We'll be a few minutes, and then we'll come back, talk a little more, maybe a little bit about your latest book and where people could get that. And, folks, if you have any questions, you can get those to me through the portal, which is located at MikeVara.com. And it's right down at the bottom. Just scroll down to the bottom of the homepage. So with that, my guest, he is Preston Dennett, and I am Mike Vara, and we will be right back. Don't go away, folks. Don't laugh. Don't laugh. You know what? I think that probably most people, I think most people believe that it's real. I think it's a very small percentage who is still the unbeliever. You might hear a puppy dog in the background. My son has gone out of town for the weekend, and I got the pleasure of babysitting his dog, which I really would have rather not do, but she's I don't know what this dog is really. Some days it looks like a baby deer, other days it just looks like I don't know. But she's hard-headed, and she's a very lovely dog, but very hard-headed. and she wants attention right now, and she's apparently going to learn that she's not going to get it. All right, so let's get back to it with my guest, Preston. We are back. And, yeah, I wish the aliens would come abduct this dog. That'd work for
Funny
me.
you say that, because in my latest book, Not From Here, Volume 5, I had a whole chapter about that.
Really?
Where they take dogs on board, yep.
Oh, my goodness. Now, how do we know when they take the dogs? Are we, are the dogs given some kind of information when they get back, or are people seeing it?
No, it's usually with the person.
Okay.
I mean, like there was one guy in Louisiana. He was with his dog Hunter Bone, and this UFO showed up, and the dog goes running towards the UFO, and he goes running after his dog. And the next thing he knows, he's on board, and so is his dog. And his dog is basically immobilized. And the little gray ETs apologized. And the little gray ETs apologized and told him, "We're sorry, but the dog tried to bite us." And the little dog Hunter Bone was floating around like a stuffed animal inside the craft.
Oh, my God. I wonder if it freaks the dogs out like it does the people.
Well, it's interesting because dogs do seem to sense these craft coming long before people do. I think there's their ability to basically have better hearing, perhaps.
I always say, watch the animals, Preston. Watch the animals. You see them running, don't question why, just follow them.
Yeah. Well, it's well verified they can predict earthquakes.
Yeah.
There was a huge earthquake in, I think it was Japan, where all the animals were acting crazy, and they know. So they all ran out of the buildings, and sure enough, it was a big temblor.
Yeah, I mean, even tsunamis, all kinds of stuff. They sense these things. They know. I mean, my God, they could smell cancers and all kinds of stuff now. They find out. So dogs are pretty smart, pretty valuable. Except for, this one over here, he's good for petting. That's about it. So you've interviewed hundreds of witnesses. What common threads would you say that you see across these cases? What's the most common theme?
Oh, it's pretty easy to predict what a person's going to say when they're taken on board.
Yeah.
I would say 80% of what people tell me I've heard before, even more in some cases, depending on how much they can recall. But some very common, I would say, details are that people find themselves laying on a table, perhaps, that molds to their body, or just as often they describe something more like a dentist chair, a very unusual chair, also very comfortable, that molds to their body. They almost always describe the interior of the UFO, the craft, I should say, as being very clean, very sparse in terms of furniture, a center column, that's quite common. Indirect lighting, that's almost every single case. Nobody says, oh, there's lamps and fluorescent lighting or anything like that. No, the walls themselves seem to glow. It's usually white or metallic, though sometimes a pastel blue perhaps, or a cream color sort of. These kinds of details are quite common. Most people report grays, though I do hear tall whites and little blue beings and human-looking ETs and occasional mantids, and really a quite wide variety of what we would call humanoids. Most people describe them wearing jumpsuits. That's pretty common, which are usually white, maybe black or blue, sometimes silvery. That's very common. No buttons.
Yeah.
No, rarely insignia. No seams, certainly in the craft or on the jumpsuit.
Sorry, dogs keeps going off in there. Anyways, my God, now I've lost my train of thought. So, what would you say that the most? Oh, that's what I was gonna say. I've had some tell me that they think that these grays are actually wearing a helmet of some sort. That's not actually what they look like. Some kind of.
Oh, no, no, I've never heard any really good reporting on that.
Okay. All right.
What I will say is the dark black eyes are probably lenses. There's quite a few cases of that.
Yeah.
Because people will describe them actually as having blue or green eyes, really, when these lenses come off.
I'll tell you, it would be a lot easier to look at them if they would just go with the blue eyes. You know?
I think they're very light sensitive, and with those large eyes, you could see that. But that is very consistently reported, actually. There's a lot of real consistent features in terms of what the ETs will say to people as well. Almost always, if someone sees, a gray or something, a humanoid, in their bedroom, which is often where they will appear, or wherever, the backyard or while driving, the first thing, almost always, out of their, I was going to say mouths, but really they communicate telepathically. Another very common pattern. They'll say, have no fear. Don't be afraid. No harm will come to you. We will not hurt you. You're fine. Relax. That sort of thing.
Yeah.
Almost always, which is really interesting to me because people do have a very strong panic reaction.
Yeah.
Most cases, actually, people start to really freak out. Not always. I mean, one lady I interviewed, she had these grays appear, first time that she could remember, in her bedroom. And she said, I had no fear. They looked cute. I recognized them from TV. They were very friendly. They held up this little wand and said, we're testing you, and ran it up and down her body. And she ended up going with them into a craft, and they were warning her about future wars, that we're heading towards, a terrible war situation.
Oh, boy. Yeah, well, I certainly hope not. I want to hit. I got a few listener questions that have come through here, so if you don't mind, I'll hit a couple of those here. Let's see. We got Tammy in Rochester. Oh, how about that? Hello, Tammy. Preston, have you come across any contact cases where the experiences were given a clear mission or purpose by the beings they encountered?
That's a great question, Tammy. That does come up on occasion. One lady, she was contacted by the Greys, and they told her, you have forgotten your mission. You are to talk about us and tell people about us. So that was one. Another guy, which is kind of ironic because generally ETs have told people they don't really like politics, but one guy, they told him, it's your mission to go into politics. One guy, he had an ET visit him in his hospital room, Fred White from Durham, England. He was suffering from a hole in his heart, had this ET come in and basically heal him, and told him, we are very interested in your work in electronics. He's an inventor or an electronics engineer. They told him, it's very important you continue your research into electronics. So this sort of thing actually happens quite a bit. People will come away from an encounter with a strong need to explore quantum physics or astronomy, or in the Tonga Canyon case, medicine or healing. That comes up quite a bit, actually.
Yeah.
So, yeah, absolutely. People will be very much guided. Like one case, one of my favorite cases ever is Dolly Saffron, and I wrote a whole book about her experiences. Her father was brought on board. Contact is generational, and they gave him information on how to fulfill what he wanted to be, which was an architect. So yeah, they absolutely will give people a mission, so to speak. often it's a warning about telling people about the dangers of nuclear power, weapons, nuclear proliferation, anything along those lines. You must tell people this sort of thing. They told one lady, you need to tell people that you are on the wrong path, that the greed and corruption that's so prevalent in your society will lead to its downfall. So often it's just a message to inform people.
Yeah. All right.
So great question, Tammy.
Yeah, it was a great question. It came from my hometown, Rochester. I wonder if I know Tammy. I don't think I do. All right, it's a big place. Carlos from Phoenix wants to know, do you think there's a connection between sleep paralysis and alien abduction, or are they two totally different things?
Another great question. And in a way they're connected, but in a way they're not. Because there's a skeptical sort of theory that ET encounters can be explained as sleep paralysis, and that people are just misinterpreting it, which is 100% false. Because sleep paralysis, doesn't leave an implant in your body. It doesn't heal you of an illness. It can't be viewed by other, people. It doesn't take you from your room, and everyone's wondering where the heck you are.
Yeah.
So this can't be explained as sleep paralysis. Sleep paralysis is when basically you wake up and you are having a waking dream. Your brain releases a chemical which prevents you from basically acting out your dream and sleepwalking and just wreaking havoc. So that's what sleep paralysis is. But now when a person is having contact, sometimes they will feel a sense of paralysis, and they'll see these beings around their bed. So it feels like sleep paralysis, but then they find themselves, being pulled through the wall perhaps, or the ceiling, up a beam of light in some cases, and into a craft. And then they go through the whole, exam and given a tour and information and all kinds of the things that ETs do when people are on board. So there is a commonality, I guess would be the way to put it, but they're two different things, 100%.
All right, awesome. All right, there's another one. This is Lisa in Asheville, North Carolina, writes, have you ever investigated any UFO cases that were backed up by radar or official military reports?
Great question, Lisa. Think for a second. I don't know if I've personally investigated cases that had radar confirmation. I'm trying to think. I know of many that have, but I know that there are many cases where radar confirmation has taken place. Like the Hill case had radar confirmation. I know that in Dolly Saffron's case, she had a sighting and it ended up on the news, and there was film of it. So that's not radar per se, but I don't know that I've personally had a case that had radar confirmation. I really have to go through my files. I don't think so. But there are hundreds upon hundreds of really well-documented cases involving radar, including the case that got me involved in this field, the 1986 JAL Airlines case. Had confirmation from the plane itself and from the FAA, though they later denied it, called it split images, and that turned out to be not true whatsoever, because according to, I don't know his first name, Mr. Callahan, he got the radar reports, which totally verified that had taken place. Radar is one of the best evidence we have in terms of physical evidence that is undeniable, indisputable, hands down, cannot be explained as a conventional aircraft.
Uh-huh. All right. Well, there you go, Lisa. Thanks for the question. Jake in Ohio. He asks, why do you think so many experiencers describe the same types of beings like Greys or Nordics, even when they've never heard of each other?
Yeah, I love that question, Jay. It's funny, before I got involved in this field, I saw some episodes on In Search of, and would be mentioned on Saturday Night Live or something. I'm like, this sounds very Star Trek-y to me. This can't be real. ETs should be, have tentacles or look like the Blob or something. It's kind of what I expected. But if you look at the huge number of reports, it's almost always humanoid in form. And we do have, I would say, over 50% of the people I've interviewed describe Greys or some variation of it. Human-looking, I'd say, would be a very close second. And from that point on, you get quite a variety. But it's clear to me that if people who are widely separated in time and space and have no information about the UFO subject are reporting the same darn things, the only explanation that they could possibly be is that they're telling the truth about what they see.
Yeah.
And I can tell you that most contactees shy away from UFO books or anything on TV about it because it's difficult to process these experiences, and they don't really, it's a long pathway towards facing it. A lot just put it in a drawer and don't want to talk about it, don't want to think about it. But it's amazing how similar people will describe these beings to the point, there was Betty Andreasson. Her case is very well known. The ET identified himself as Quasga. Well, there was a lady, Barbara Schutte is her name, or Barbara Schutte, Schutte. She had a Grey come into her room who identified himself by the same name. She did a drawing. The drawings are almost identical. So they did not know each other. It's amazing. Wow. These commonalities are very important evidence, and I think show that people are telling the truth.
Yeah, all right. One more here. Monica in San Antonio, Texas, and she wants to ask, have you spoken with anyone who claims to have been taken aboard a craft and shown visions of Earth's future? And if so, what did they see? Another good question.
Yeah, great question, Monica. Absolutely. That is fairly consistent. I don't want to say it's common, but almost. People will be shown different things. Sometimes it's personal. Sometimes it has to do with all humanity. One guy I interviewed, Don Anderson from Utah, was taken on board when he was like 22 years old with his young son, and he was shown an image of a woman and was told that he would meet her in the future, and he did. There was another case where a guy was shown his home that he would be moving to. He was not aware of it. Sure enough, that was the home he moved to. One guy I interviewed, great witness, Kevin Kamen, God bless him, he's passed on, but he was a Navy medic, and he was basically invited on board. He asked, and they said yes. It's a long story, but he knew a contactee, and said, if it's true, I want to meet your little green friends. Well, it turned out they weren't green. They weren't little. They were praying mantis, about 15 feet tall. And although it was a benevolent encounter, he said it was very scary. And at one point, they showed him these images, which he said were so realistic, it looked like looking outside of a window. And they told him, since you started exploding atomic bombs, it started a countdown clock, and these events will happen. And they started to show him these images of hurricanes and landslides and tornadoes and earthquakes and all kinds of stuff like this. And he says, a number of these events did happen. They showed him having a motorcycle accident. He did not remember this until he actually had that motorcycle accident and then recalled it. So absolutely, they do show a wide variety of events. Some have been shown nuclear explosions, which haven't happened yet. So I wonder sometimes if they're just really trying to warn people that this could happen.
Yeah, it might be. Then
tsunamis and all kinds of stuff.
Then they could say, "Well, we warned you. We tried to tell you."
And
yeah,
and they sure have. It's very, very common. If you're going to get any message from ETs, more than likely it's going to include warnings against nuclear proliferation, war and aggression, greed and corruption, pollution, and the destruction of the environment. There's a lot of other things they say, but that, in terms of warnings, that's definitely at the top of the list.
Oh, yeah, there's a so-called time traveler who claims that we're going to find out in the near future that cell phones are blowing off more radiation than we thought, and that they're going to get banned, and it's going to be too late, and there's going to be radiation everywhere. And is it from the cell phone? Is it from a nuke? I don't know. Is it from a mothership UFO? Maybe it is. I don't know. So Preston, if you would talk, maybe get out some information about your books and website, any of that stuff you want to get out there before we're done tonight. And if there's anything else you got that you want to talk about, by all means, go right ahead.
Yeah, thanks, Mike. I appreciate it.
Yes, sir.
I do have a lot of books, over 30. I would say my very favorite and one I would recommend to anyone, because it just has so much information, would be my book, Symmetry, A True UFO Adventure. I like that book because it's one continuous narrative of one person's experiences. That's one of my most recent books. Humanoids and High Strangeness is another one. Not From Here, Volume 5. I'm doing a whole series on very strange UFO cases. I'm currently working on a sequel to Symmetry, which I'm very excited about, because we're going to lay it out in terms of the ET information that the main witness, Dolly Saffron, has been given by the ETs. I do a weekly podcast with Dolly called The Light Gate. Airs Monday each evening from 8 to 10 Eastern Time live. So we're having a lot of fun with that. My website is easy to find, PrestonDennett.weebly.com. You can contact me through my website. You can read excerpts of my books. If you have a story to share or a question, I'm always happy to communicate with people. I'm all over social media, really. Instagram and X, I guess they call it now, Twitter, Facebook. Pretty easy to find. You can find my books on Amazon and Barnes & Noble and other online retailers. So, yeah, this is an important subject. I'm really glad to see people are waking up to it, because it's long past due.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's you think about all the time and effort that people like yourself have put in. You think about people even before, like Stanton Freeman's and these guys. I mean, you can go way back, and here we are, and it seems to be paying off. So we just have to keep moving forward, and hopefully in our lifetime we'll have a hell of a lot more answers, Preston. And thank you so much for being here tonight.
It's a pleasure and an honor. Yeah. I'm eager to see what the future brings. So
yes,
thank you.
Sir. Me too. All right. Well, hopefully we'll see it. You have a good one, my friend. All right. Bye-bye.
Bye.
All right, folks. There he goes. Preston Dennett.